It's the old Doctor Who show, episode number 18, The Mask of Mandragora.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a jelly, baby?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
Because the polarity of the neutron flows, the TARDIS would be free of the force field.
But the TARDIS is more than a machine. Stephen. It's like a person.
The resulting reaction is fighting. Are you ready?
It's the old Doctor Who show, the classic Doctor Who review podcast. I am your host, Eric.
And I'm your other host, Dan.
Two hosts. How are you, Dan?
Doing great. How are you doing this holiday season?
Good. How was your holiday season?
No, it was pretty nice.
Yeah?
Did we talk,
No, but somebody got me Doctor Who for Christmas.
Wait, who did?
Dan did.
This guy.
Yes, I have to bring it up as soon as we start because it was such a nice gesture. As listeners may be aware, I have cut back on some things, including my cable box, so I had no way of watching Season 9 of Doctor Who. Dan, I think, probably got a little tired of asking me if I have seen it, and I got the season last night from you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's why I was asking you last night, because I wanted to make sure you didn't buy it for yourself or Casey didn't get it. So I just wanted to make sure. But I was like, he's just going to get pissed, because every time I ask him, he's like, how many times do I have to tell you I don't have a cable?
Yeah, so I did start rewatching it, actually, this morning. I rewatched the first The Magician's Apprentice this morning. Yeah. Even though I had seen it, I'm just going to watch them all. So hopefully I can have just about everything done for our next episode, so if you want to discuss it.
Fantastic.
You saw the Christmas special?
The Christmas special just aired.
Good?
Yeah,
you're happy with
great.
it?
You know, the Christmas specials always have a different tone to them. Mostly a Christmas tone.
Right.
But they tend to be a little sillier and a little bit more for kids. So this is no exception, but there was some good stuff, some good cameos. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that River's in it. Since
I mean, I saw that because
that's the title.
Yeah, I saw that on iTunes because you got me an iTunes gift certificate, which is what I used. And one thing that we talked about on text, which I think is strange, is the season pass version of the Christmas special. The Christmas special is outside, at least on Apple, is not included in season 9, so you have to buy it separately, and it's $2.99 for an HD copy. Or you can buy the season pass for it's like $5. Yeah, $4.99. And all you get is a 30-second trailer that's already free.
Sure.
And then I think maybe Who Is River Song?
Yeah.
Thing, but isn't that also free?
I don't know if it's.
I downloaded it and it didn't charge me, so I'm assuming that it's free. So.
I don't know.
That doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, so that's why you had thought, hey, is there going to be a second part? But I think it's pretty clear from the ending of this episode there's not a second part.
Yeah,
so.
I was wondering either there's a second part of it or maybe they're bundling all the Christmas specials into a... But they've
done that. They've done that separately already. They do the best of Who specials, and I think that goes up through Matt Smith already.
Right, and as far as the fine print, it says, by purchasing the season pass, you get all episodes of the season Doctor Who, The Wives of River Song, or the Husbands of River Song.
Well, that's spoilers.
I just think that's not cool.
Yeah, it was
like, who's in charge
confusing.
Yeah, they're just ripping people off. So if you're at home and you're thinking about buying it, I would not recommend getting the season pass unless you don't like money.
Right. Just get the episode.
So that was me. So how was your holiday?
It was good. I've done a lot of traveling. Joe and I took the dogs down to Florida to visit his parents. So that was a car trip.
Now you say when you went to Florida to visit his parents, you did Christmas.
No, I did. That
him?
was Thanksgiving down
Thanksgiving,
there.
Okay.
So road trip 2 days with 2 dogs down to Florida, and then back again. And now for Christmas, he's down there. I'm going to fly down tomorrow. But I went and visited my folks in Pennsylvania, which meant a train ride. So I downloaded some stuff to watch. Actually, Amtrak, if it wasn't for the fact that it gets delayed all the time, it's the most comfortable thing in the world. Yeah. The seats are gigantic. You could basically lie flat and not bother anyone.
Which you did.
Well, yeah, if you knock them out with ether first, they don't care. But so while I was riding there, I downloaded the Daft Punk documentary.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
Are you a fan?
I don't really know anything about other than they wear robot masks.
Yeah.
Which is
it's the whole history of them. I mean,
Is
I've
it
liked
good?
them since. I've liked them since way back, like '96. Whenever like Around the World was a single, and then Discovery came out while we were working together at our first job together. So ever since then, and the Tron soundtrack I thought was fantastic. All the remixes it was just cool because they have purposefully been enigmatic and not front and center.
Now, is it are they people in mass, or is it that they're evolving? It's not always the same person, but that's the same identities.
Right. No, it is the two guys in Mask. Unlike like the Gorillas, where it's like Damon Albarn of Blur is the main guy, and then kind of a rotating cast
the other people
around
change.
them. But no, in this case, it is the two of them. They work with different collaborators and producers and stuff, but it's the two of them. It was just really good. I mean, if you're a fan of the music, it was really cool to see all this put together and all the.
Is that on Netflix or Hulu?
That I think was on Showtime,
Okay.
but I was able to download it through my Fios subscription. But
I've been watching
anyway, it was good.
Making a Murderer, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. I love those to watch things and just get very sad and depressed that the whole judicial system and
I'm
the
going to watch
police
the
and everything
Joy
is completely
Division
corrupt.
documentary and then the Elliott Smith documentary. And
I would like to watch both of those documentaries. Interesting that you bring that up. That's right in my wheelhouse. But that's on Netflix, and that's great. That's like if you've ever seen The Staircase too, which is great, or Jinx, which was on HBO.
Oh, Jinx was amazing. Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into.
Is that a Netflix original? That's just on.
It
that,
is.
right?
Yeah.
They
It just came out a couple weeks ago. I think it premiered sometime in December.
Oh, so something more relevant to what we're doing here. I had enough of it. For a month or so, I'm just going to try out the commercial-free Hulu because I'm so sick of the freaking commercials.
It's worth it. I mean, we talked about that briefly.
Yeah.
That I think it's $3 extra.
I think it's $4. It's
$4
50%
extra.
more. It's
Okay.
like it's $8 for the thing to be able to watch it elsewhere.
But it does
commercials.
change
and then another $4.
Yeah, it changes the experience enough that you feel like it's a real service. And I know that sounds small to say that, but
That should be part of the $8 plan.
It
You
should, but-
shouldn't get commercials.
right. In my opinion, though, trying to license all this stuff I can understand why they're charging $14. Like that's what HBO
Sure.
is. HBO is for $14.99 a month for HBO now, right?
For now,
their
yeah,
standalone thing.
Yeah.
So in that sense, and they are creating original content and all that stuff. So I'm okay with the $14.
I don't care
or
that
whatever.
they're creating original content. I don't know.
You'll never
just-
go back. I think once you get it, you're not going to go back.
Just
to the,
fundamentally
to
to
the
me, the companies that own Hulu are the content creators. So Fox,
Yeah,
ABC,
well, that's
NBC,
true. It's a
they're
good
all
point.
co-owners. So on top of that, it bothers me fundamentally.
That is
Anyway,
a good point.
but
Although
I
they
did-
do license stuff like all the Doctor Who
Criterion
classic,
Collection.
Yeah, the classic Doctor Who, where we watch this.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I'll just do
Anyway.
one bit of housekeeping, and then we can get into the episode. There was changes again to what is on Hulu and what isn't on Hulu, so I did go through the entire list again, and there's been some shuffling. Things came off that I wanted to do. Things, because I ended up taking a lot off, I put things on. So now we're doing the Twin Dilemma, which is the first Colin Baker Doctor Who, and also what people consider one of the worst episodes ever. So I'm actually kind of looking
Can't
forward
wait.
to
Yeah,
doing
me
something
too.
so
There's been
terrible.
so many episodes recently where you ask me what I think. And it's great. I love this episode.
Right.
It's kind of
So-
good to watch an episode.
Now,
and just
I have not
despise.
seen that. Maybe I'll be surprised. It was also in the beginning you had wanted to do everybody's regeneration, right?
Yeah,
so
I
this is the
definitely wanna
first
see it.
Colin Baker one, so it makes sense that we're doing it.
Which is that one? I'm sorry. Which episode?
That is the Twin Dilemma.
The Twin
I think
Dilemma.
that's
I'm just trying to find it on
after.
the DoctorWhoShow.com/schedule.
Right.
I think when we update that, I don't think we've done that now. We just need to put the date on there so you guys know how current it is, because you could be listening to this in the future. Who
Oh,
knows?
true.
So, but we'll take care of
True.
it. Anyway, cool.
So anything else you just want to jump into the Mask
do it.
of Mandragora? Oh, Star Wars. I saw Star Wars and loved it. I'm assuming
I don't
you
know what
also saw it. Are you
I'm
not? You were not familiar with it?
I'm not familiar
Yeah,
with the
it's a
franchise.
small science fiction film.
Indie film. I thought it was incredible. I think it, honestly, I haven't gone back and rewatched the original 3 in a while. I don't really like the new 3 at all. So at this point, this feels like my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I mean
which is kind of crazy,
right? I'll talk about the negative things, and I say this not because I think I love the movie, but it is very close to A New Hope.
Yes,
beat by beat almost with things that
happen.
And but as long as the 8 is its own thing. And it's not a repeat of Empire Strikes Back. To me, it totally makes sense to go from the old to the new, and it's using a familiar pattern and everything. But it flips a lot of the stuff. It's not exactly the same. It just may have the similar template, but it's actually changing it. And in that sense, I think it's a huge success. And
Joe and I saw it together, and that was his complaint. But I felt the same as you did. It's like, okay, as long as this one can make a lot of references, even in story beats. Obviously, character, fan service, whatever. That's fine as long as I feel like it frees them up on the next two to do whatever.
Yes.
But on the other hand, like some of the reviews I was reading, the criticism, not negative criticism, but like the critique of it, thinking about those things as echoes, because there are a lot. I mean, even through the original series, there are a lot of things that kind of related to each other. So it's just echoes of things that have happened in the past. But again, it's like mirror image. Some things will be flipped over.
Right.
Yeah,
and so I think
and the chemistry between the characters, especially the new characters, is so fantastic.
That
doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Where is amazing,
right? It's the new movie for me isn't about the plot, although certainly the plot is interesting and the mythology, but it's the drama and it's the characters and how they interact and the conflict. Yeah. Like, that's what was so lacking for me in the prequels is there's really no drama. Everybody's sort of a cardboard cutout walking, going from point A to point B in these sort of overly complex plot lines. Whereas this, I really like. Adam Driver, I thought was brilliant. Yeah, and I don't want to say again. I don't want to spoil anything. We just want to be brief.
But yes, it was.
Say we liked it. It's very much. Like if I did listen to our last podcast because obviously I'm a narcissist. No, I had to listen to it.
That's how you fall asleep at night, right?
Yeah. But it's funny because I'm like, I didn't get tickets and I'm gonna wait and like it's not gonna go away. Like my wife and I got tickets for the first Monday that it was gonna open, and then we freaked out. We couldn't handle it, and we ended up getting tickets the day it opened, taking my kids out of school. Like we're just like terrible parents, but or the best parents.
Oh, so what did the kids think?
The best. They all loved it. Like my youngest son did not go. And he's going to be 5. He's not 5 yet.
He had other commitments.
Yeah, he was actually going to see the Hateful Eight, so he had his own thing going on. But anyway, the kids loved it. Like we had already watched the movies, so they like as far as Star Wars Empire and Return, so they were already sort of on board. And I was a little worried about my youngest daughter seeing it. Whether because it was PG-13 or whatever. But if you're a parent and you're listening to this now, there's certainly nothing in this movie that wasn't already in the first ones. I mean, it's just that the PG-13 hadn't existed. Like, you look at New Hope, you see, like, the burnt carcasses of his aunt and uncle. Like, there's a shot of that. He's constantly cutting people's limbs off. It's like every movie, someone's getting their limb cut off. So in this one, there's violence, but there's not...
There was nothing as graphic as even the cantina scene.
Right.
Like, as far as I can recall, at least even in that one, you saw blood.
Yeah. So if you had a parent and you're thinking about, a 7-year-old going, I would definitely recommend that you do that because it's...
The only problem was, there was a little bit of R2-D2 side boob, but other than that...
Yeah, but it was hot. And it was tasteful.
It was integral to the story. It was necessary.
So anyway... Okay. All right, so we're 14 minutes in. We should probably jump into the Masque of Mandragora.
Mandragora. There you go. We did it.
Okay. You want to hit the TARDIS button so we can get this show on the road here?
That's the sub button.
Whom do you serve?
I serve you.
And the doctor?
Doctor is a sorcerer.
And?
Doctor is evil. And must be destroyed.
All this you will forget. All but your purpose. When you Stand close, and the doctor suspects nothing. You will strike him down. One scratch will be sufficient. The hand of a friend is a subtle but certain weapon. Now, we must return you to the doctor's side. How glad he will be to see his young companion.
All right, it's The Mask of Mandragora, 1976. Mandragora.
Mandragora.
Mandragora. The Mask of Mandragora. This is written by Louis Marks, or Louis Marks, depending on which pronunciation you want to go with. Directed by Rodney Bennett of the Rodney Bennetts. Of the Rodney Bennetts. The quick synopsis here: the Doctor and Sarah see a swirl of living energy called the Mandragora in the time vortex. I still getting it wrong? I'm not going to get it right. Mandragora in the time vortex. They escape the time vortex and arrive in 15th century Italy, only to find that they've brought the energy with them. The energy then runs amok and infiltrates the cult of Demnos and uses its members to take control of the Earth and keep it in the Dark Ages, while Sarah and the Doctor find themselves in a Shakespearean plot between a duke and his scheming uncle. So what did you think of this episode? Oh, I should point out just in the beginning, this is a new exterior of the TARDIS too, as well as a new font in the opening.
I don't think I noticed either of those things. I definitely wasn't paying attention to the opening because I tend to skip past it.
Yeah, I saw that on Wikipedia. It didn't occur to me until I had read about it after. But
the exterior of the TARDIS, is it just the same thing refreshed, or is it because they've gone through some variations where it actually looks very different?
From what I had read, I guess it had been falling apart, they updated it. Whether or not how different it is between the two, and I feel like in an early show that we did, I don't remember which show, I attached a image that showed sort of all the different TARDISes. Yep. So this one should be on it so you could see whatever the changes are. But also the font has like a different sort of serif or treatment. Huh. So what'd you think of this one here?
For an episode that is history based, I really liked it. As soon as it went to kind of medieval, whatever, I'm like, oh crap! It is literally my least favorite thing to go into medieval times.
Right.
I'm not a big fan. I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I agree. I mean, I love that stuff.
Another great episode for Sarah. I mean, she can do no wrong. I know that we're running out of her soon, but every single thing that she has to do in this episode, she's fantastic. The Doctor had some great jokes, and it was nice and light through a lot of it. I just thought it was overall great plot.
She is the best. I love I love that whole sort of the Shakespearean sort of elements of the thing, and I thought the production design was great. The actors across the board were really good. The script I thought was really well written. It just felt like there was more money. And I guess with these sort of sets and stuff, they're doing tons of material with this. So I imagine this is probably appearing in some theater show that they've also done. Whereas if you're making some kind of alien world, you got to build that from scratch. Whereas they probably have access to all of this sort of costumes and sets and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was very theatrical in terms of down inside the Demnos caverns. There were scrim there, so just these painted sets that you can only see when the lights appear behind them. It's just a theater thing that used it pretty effectively here on screen. Sometimes that stuff doesn't work; it just doesn't read as well as if you were actually in a theater. On film.
But this
did. I thought it worked well.
I agree. Sarah Jane eats an orange without peeling it.
I wrote that down too. What kind of monster is she?
I don't understand
just
that.
Bit
and she
right
bites
through
it twice. Yeah, is that a thing that was my question to you? Is listen, if you're listening and you're in England, do you has everyone eaten oranges that way?
He did it too. Basically, the Doctor had an orange as well. I think he peeled. No, he peeled.
Is it a time thing, or is it just I've been eating oranges wrong my entire life?
I think we're wrong. I think we should just do an experiment right now and find out.
Yeah. And what about the Duke's wig?
Well, let's do it.
All right.
Oh, that was a wig? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go on.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's starting off with them in the TARDIS. What I really liked is it starts off with them walking through the TARDIS, through parts of it that we've never seen before. And the Doctor says, I'll give you a guided tour someday, which is really cool. I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of the interior of the TARDIS in the episodes we reviewed. There's some, and they definitely make reference to the fact that it's...
Right, that it's big and...
That it's huge. Of course, it's basically infinite.
Not like this that we've
much
covered.
more explicit here in terms of both what we get to see and the way that he describes it. He describes it as, measurement. What is a measurement of something that's infinite? Whatever. So he talks about that. But it was cool to see the interior of the TARDIS.
Yeah, and you got the secondary console room too, which was very cool. And I also had read a bit with that where either maybe there was some damage to the other console because they're going to use this one, I think, for the rest of the season, and then they go back to the other one. Something like that.
They're going to use the secondary.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, from what I had read, and again, if I'm off, please send us emails. Send me a note. Send me a weird note that you've cut out of a newspaper. And murder me because I deserve it. But as far as I know, I think there was either the producer was unhappy with sort of the wooden. Is it wooden? Is the old one wooden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it almost looks nautical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unhappy with that and wanted to, I guess, do this more sort of futuristic one. And there's lots of little nice nods to previous Doctors too. We saw the recorder, Sarah finds the recorder, and then I think is Tom Baker wearing kind of a frilly shirt or something, kind of like a Pertwee.
I didn't notice him wearing that. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to.
No, because he picks up some clothing that was laying around there, so maybe that's what it was. What do you think? Yeah,
that might have been it.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah,
so it started out kind of nice, and then they go to that weird. I refer to it as the vortex or whatever, where they see the
helix. I think they call it
the helix. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So they get sucked into that, which I thought was a pretty cool effect too. I mean, it's obviously water swirling with some styrofoam in it or something like that, but it worked really well. Especially the kind of bending effects they were getting. So you see the TARDIS and it's kind of warping, and then you see them all warping, and everything kind of gets sucked. It was really cool.
Acid freak out.
Yeah, man. Yep. So then they get sucked back into 15th century Italy.
Yeah, we end up in 15th century Italy, and so let's talk about the I keep calling him the Duke. He becomes the Duke. Is it the Duke?
Yeah.
The Duchess. No. The
Duchess.
The Duke, right?
Yep.
Yes. Him and Marco, they're gay, right?
I have that written down. It's the subtext is there.
Because they mention it, and I'm not
his
even
dear old friend. Yeah. Also, he's a redhead, and you know what that means.
Right. But they do say, it's played that way, and I don't even, where they refer to him as his companion, or he's very important. You get a sense that they have a very close relationship, and if they are gay, it makes the whole story that much better.
Yeah, I don't know how much...
As far as, the torturing and everything that goes on in the end, whether or not he's going to betray... but anyway, you got that too, right? That was pretty...
Yeah, absolutely. It felt pretty straightforward there.
Which I think is kind of interesting, considering the time that it came out and everything else, as far as the story goes and the script and putting that.
I mean, it's definitely a danger to kind of read things into it from our vantage point that may not have been there, but it definitely felt that way when I was watching it. So, yeah, hot.
Yep. And the other thing I mentioned the wig. One thing that I thought was funny was during the sword fighting scenes, the stunt doubles that they were using, every time they cut behind Marco's or not Marco, the Duke's back. What's the Duke's name?
Well, it's not actually. He isn't the Duke because he.
Well, he's having the party as his ascension.
Count Federico. It's the
Count Federico. So every time you cut behind him, it just looks like there's this giant man in the bad Duke wig. It's just not quite matching, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah, no, that wig looked like it belonged to someone much younger than him.
Did you recognize Marco at all? I believe Marco, and I should have confirmed this, but I'm almost 100% positive, was from Clash of the Titans. He was the guard that was pretty much Perseus's best friend. So he must have been like sort of if you need a best friend from some kind of old-time science fiction or fantasy sequence, you're going to call the guy that played Marco.
We got the guy for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Take a look at that. Yeah, so we have Giuliano and Marco. Then we also have Hieronymus. So that's the Count's astrologer,
court astrologer /
I guess
sorcerer.
Which was also, yeah, exactly. Also,
I kept thinking they were saying Euronymous, which is the guitarist from the black metal band Mayhem, who ate the brains of the lead singer dead. But it's not. It was
it's not
Hieronymus. Yeah,
you're sure about that?
Not Euronymous. It's Hieronymus. So black metal fans, I apologize if you also got excited that this was a weird origin story of that guy.
It goes back to who? Amazing.
Yeah. But he was great too, like the as sort of a villain and as far as his acting and everything goes, I thought Euronymous is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the kind of Shakespearean intrigue was going on. I guess the Count and Hieronymus were conspiring to kill. So they killed the Duke at the beginning. That's Giuliano's father, and they want to take the throne. But then Euronymous ends up getting all the power of the Helix. So he said the Helix kind of gets sucked into the TARDIS, or did the Helix energy bring the TARDIS to it, in order to then travel back in time?
In the beginning, it's played off that they're going there for whatever reason, or they just run anywhere, and the Helix sort of just jumps on board, and they happen to let it out there. Then later on in the story, the Doctor says something along the lines of someone here's already made contact with the Helix, so they already have a relationship, so it was no accident that they ended up there.
Right.
Or that
I think that's right. That's the right read for it. Because when they're in the Helix, in the very opening of the first episode, you can hear the laughter in the background. So as though like this Helix energy had planned this all along, and took them there. And then it also says later, Euronymous is talking about one of his lieutenants in the cult says to him, the way that you're talking to it sounds like you've spoken to it before. And he says, yes, when I was younger, I spoke to Demnos, which is what they think it is. Right. And so I don't know if he's crazy or if that actually he did somehow get to speak to.
Yeah, the whole fact that even before sort of although I guess it negates that if we're going to say that he's already contacted this energy, but that they were already crazy and already worshiping Demnos, and they've already were corrupted. Like, you didn't even need the Helix energy to be part of the story, to have an interesting thing with sort of weird demonic demons and everything else that was going on, happening. But one thing that I thought was or a question I have to you is, rather, so in the story, Sarah Jane and the Doctor get separated. Sarah Jane is taken by this cult of Demnos, and they put her on the sacrificial table, and they're all going around and doing their dances and whatever before they're going to kill her. Now, how do they handle the blocking of that? As a group, like, is it something they have practice for?
Yeah,
like,
I think every Wednesday you're supposed to show up.
Right. So is it because everybody knows where to stand and what to do. Like, what do they do when they don't have the body? Because you don't want to look like an idiot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, if it's the time you're going to sacrifice this special
They do run-througs. They do drills. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're going to stand here, then I'm going to do that. Now you're going to do a twirl. Do two twirls.
I want the hands
and then
up.
Keep
hands
going
up the whole way. Everybody hands above your head.
And I think, was it at that part too where Euronymous is talking to the Helix or the Mandragora?
No, Mandrag.
And it's he's just talks so slow. He's like, and it goes on forever, and he's so he's so detailed about it. If you're the one standing there, only you. Like, you also get a sense that maybe that's just him doing some kind of ventriloquist thing, because it's like, and only you will have this power, not Steve. Steve will never have this. See, he said it. I'm in charge now. So, yeah.
Yeah, that took
strange.
Forever. It was a really strange thing. And Hey, so later on, Euronymous captures. The cult of Demnos captures Sarah. She's
right.
Constantly captured. Euronymous decides to use her to kill the Doctor. So he hypnotizes her and gives her a poison little needle to then get close to the Doctor and kill him, which I thought was really cool because it gave you a couple of times, for that 15 minutes or so, that tension of every time she gets close to him. Is it
going to be the moment?
Is she going to do it? But then, so she asked the Doctor, how is it that I can understand what this guy is saying in Italian? Has that not come up between them before? It's come up in the show. They've definitely mentioned the fact that the TARDIS translates.
Yeah, I don't know if in the classic show that was ever explained.
That's
with
what I'm saying.
First Doctor. I mean, since then, since the newer series, it has.
I think up before this episode, I think at some point in one of the episodes we've watched, it's actually an aside. It wasn't no big deal was made out of it, but I do believe that they said that.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I know he explains it. I assume that maybe this was how they were explaining it, but also saying you should have known that because that's the reason why he realizes that she's been
That's
mind
the thing.
controlled.
That's what I wanted to get to. I have no idea how does he make that logical leap?
I guess because he has clearly told her before that it's a gift and that's part of an interesting concept too, as it's a Time Lord gift, whereas like in the newer show it's a field, right, generated by the TARDIS that gives them the power.
But it's definitely it's the TARDIS.
It's somehow the TARDIS is responsible for it. But in any case, he says it's sort of like a gift that he just can somehow give people. And because she doesn't remember that part, clearly she's been mind controlled.
Like,
she remembers other things, but not that.
He was saying something like that she's never asked before, and because she asked, that's how he knew that her mind was controlled. Like that.
Well, I got to say, you never asked that before because you know it already. Like, why would you ask me a question that you already know the answer to?
Yeah.
That's what
that was
a
strange
my
thing. Like, when they first said it, it was like, oh, cool, they're going to kind of discuss the fact that this is what the TARDIS can do or whatever their answer was at the time. But then it actually plays into the plot in such an odd way. It just didn't seem to make any sense.
And I was going to say, that scene that you're talking about that had that great quote, like, the hand of a friend is a subtle but certain weapon. Like, moments like that I thought were just really sort of elevated the script.
I think Shakespearean, like you said, is probably a great description for a lot of this stuff. Could have just been without the Doctor, all just the court intrigue.
Yeah, and more like trying to get out of getting executed by using your scarf.
Oh man, I
to
was
knock
say
the executioner
there's
down. That
so many
gag.
of those that just.
But then he slaps the horse's ass like right after that whole segment of how he escapes. It was awesome.
Well, because the guard's about to kill him, and he says, excuse me, I'd like to look my best on these occasions. Oh, okay, by all means, let me give you a second. Would you like to hold my sword?
Whoop! And then the old banana peel slip.
Well, there's that, and then when the Doctor's initially looking for Sarah, when she gets kidnapped initially, and the Count's men come across him, and he frightens a horse with a noisemaker.
Yeah.
And then takes the horse. These are horses that I assume go into battle. Probably don't get. I don't know. It's little silly things like, all right, that's fine. Right.
So then the Doctor ends up rescuing, as you mentioned, Sarah. The two of them are that. It's a lot. This episode, as much as I love it, there's a lot of escape. Like they're constantly being captured or
I
escaping.
feel like that's true in a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of going back and forth between the same. We keep going back to the same place because there's a lot of that.
And in this, so they escape like the cult of Demnos, and then they end up working with Ferdinand, the Duke.
The Duke.
Was going into World War I for some reason. The Archduke Ferdinand, and then
it's Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah. So anyway, so then they end up with him, and he sort of represents science, and this is at the dawning of the age of
Aquarius.
No
reason.
And,
yes, so the whole thing,
it's kind of an
of
interesting sort of balance between sort of religion and sort of old mysticism and science, because like all the learned men, and they make a big deal about who's coming. Why can't I think of?
Michelangelo.
Not Michelangelo.
No,
isn't it?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah,
right.
Which we never see.
No,
I thought we were going to get something,
no.
And I have a whole thing on that.
I kind of felt like they weren't going to.
This episode, like the ending, we'll save it because I have a lot to say about the ending. But is everyone killed? Like at that party, people actually die.
Okay, let's get back to the. Yeah, we'll come.
All the great men and women. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah.
So they end up with the Duke, and now they're going to go into the catacombs. Right? Is that what happens? And they go into the catacombs, which are described as having bat droppings twice the height of a man.
Yep.
Like that's your go-to. Like who's going into the catacombs?
Now I
like that's
understand
what was it like in there? There's poop everywhere. Giant poop.
Giant poop.
Assuming it's from a man bat of some kind. Ugh. So anyway,
yeah. So they're being everyone's captured. The Doctor's captured. Marco, Giuliano, Sarah. And the Doctor's, talking his way out of it, as he always does, and says that Euronymous is actually the leader of this Demnos cult, and he wants the Count to go see it, and blah, blah, blah. So they dress up in robes like the Brotherhood of Demnos to sneak in. And within taking 2 steps into it, he completely just blows his cover and starts shouting at Euronymous. He does,
yeah. It does not work out
Why did you bother? Why didn't you just come in?
Does not work that well. And speaking of and again, it's hard to sort of figure out what this Mandragora thing really is, because it's sort of like this pure energy, and it goes into Euronymous, and then his face becomes sort of this featureless ball of energy somehow, which was very cool. Like that whole lifting the hood, it's just sort of a weird light. Was great. Where was I going with this? I don't remember what was the reason for this detour.
I don't know.
It looked cool. Let's
nice.
end it at that. Cool. It looked cool.
And it gave the Doctor a chance with a bad pun. He gave him a blank stare.
Yes. And they make a joke like the worse Sarah says, like the worse the situation gets, the worse your jokes get, or something along those lines, which I thought was funny.
But yeah, then the Count is killed, Emperor style, with bolts of lightning and fried.
Yes. Yeah, so he goes down. So we basically have the Duke, who we mentioned, is having this party, right? So he's the greatest minds, the most enlightened people in all of Europe are coming to this masquerade ball that he's going to have.
Which is part of his ascension.
His ascension, yes. Let's celebrate myself. He's having a party for himself. All these people are coming. He's not sure what to do. And this Duke is unable to make a decision, too.
Yeah,
like,
really
that's
is.
his... No matter, he keeps asking Marco. Marco tells him to have the party. He's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should ask the Doctor. Marco's like, listen, nobody's going to respect you as a leader unless you, actually do something. And he's like, yeah, all right, let me ask the Doctor. So he goes, and the Doctor gives him the same business.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a line at the party where they're all freaking out, right? Because the cult of Demnos are attacking. Like they've
infiltrated the party. The whole castle is
even
walled
before
in.
even before that, they're in the city. They've gotten rid of all the people in the city, and they're closing in. Yeah. And Marco and the Duke are talking, and he says, even our guests sense something is wrong. And they hard cut to a guy eating fire, which I thought was such a not intentionally funny gag. It's like there's people just with these blank stares, completely bored, watching this guy eat fire. I thought that was very funny. But anyway, yeah, go on. So then they eventually do infiltrate the party under horse masks and whatnot. And I don't understand the entire ending. And whenever we're ready to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Well, not the entire ending, a specific point of it.
But the fancy dress, the masquerade ball is going on. The cult of Demnos is going to infiltrate it.
Yeah, and at the same time,
the Doctor and the Count, etc., go down into the cavern. And no, this is afterwards. The Doctor is there. He has a plan to dissipate the energy. He figures if he can ground ground himself, that he could dissipate the energy somehow. So he's down in the catacombs. Yep. He's got a metal sheet of armor on that's attached to some wire that wraps around this table to ground it into the ground. So blah, blah, blah. That's his plan.
Right. He runs into Euronymous down there.
Intentionally runs in, waits for Euronymous. He's playing with the yo-yo. Euronymous shows up and goes all Emperor on him, starts zapping him in the chest. He should have just aimed for the head. It would be fine.
Yep. And he always kept waiting for him to get up and expose the metal part, and then, No. But anyway, so that scene happens.
Dissipated all of his energy, and then we cut back to the mask is going on.
The cult members reveal
themselves
and start slaughtering people.
And
killing
most
people.
of the guests. Yeah.
Right.
They save some of them to take them back down to the catacombs, but they kill a substantial number
Yeah,
of people.
there's a lot of bodies on the ground, and when we do see the people standing, it seems to only be our heroes. Like, it's only Sarah and Marco and the Duke.
Yeah, there's no one
and
else
just
there.
bodies. And we've
Everywhere.
been led to believe this is the history's greatest minds at that time,
Yes.
or the most enlightened people that are going to usher in us out of the Dark Ages. Are they all dead?
That's all that's left in the castle is them and their.
Is Da Vinci among them? Is he that
I'm
part? Did he
guessing
not show up yet?
I'm guessing not.
Okay, so that happens, and then who we think is the Doctor turns out it's not the Doctor because he's wearing the same, like, what's a lion head or something?
Yeah, lion
something
mask.
goofy. He reveals, no, this starts the slaughter, and then someone else comes up that looks like Euronymous.
Yeah.
And orders everyone to go to the chamber.
Yes.
Right? They all go to the chamber. They put their hands on the thing, on the sacrificial altar. The moon is eclipsed, and then all the energy somehow comes down. Not sure how. It needed a TARDIS before. Now it's just coming down.
Yep.
Because he's grounded this, which also
doesn't.
By them touching it, they're all grounding it too. It would have just.
Yeah.
But either way, I'll accept that works.
I'm no doctor of science.
Yeah, they all die, and then the Doctor Euronymous takes his hood off. It's the Doctor. I fooled you. Where's Euronymous?
So, okay.
Because the last we saw,
Euronymous has been totally overtaken by the Mandragora Helix energy.
Okay.
So that's why he has no face. So he's been taken over by it. So I'm assuming that whenever he attacked the Doctor and he just spent all of his energy and basically
And he
died.
just disappeared?
He just went all Obi-Wan style and just collapsed ropes. He's gone. So now Doctor takes his place.
See, that's the part I didn't get. Like,
I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
I have a part that bothers me. So the Doctor takes Euronymous' place. The cult goes up to sneak into the party and to kill all the people. The Doctor then says, save the rest of these people. Let's go back down to the catacombs. Takes the Brotherhood down there. They all die from being grounded. The Doctor reveals himself. Did the Doctor let everyone up there die? Was he there when it happened? Did they start killing people? Then the Doctor showed up and stopped them from killing more? Or did he just say, all right, I could let so many people die? But
right. No, I took it as the first part. So he's battling Euronymous. He gets zapped. Then I assume Euronymous thought he was dead and left.
The attack.
Yeah. Then as soon as he got back, he saw the attack and he had to end it.
Okay.
So he said, "Whoa, stop what you're doing. Let's go to the thing." I was just missing the piece where, because he just says, "Oh, I've squared energy," or he said something like that's like the roll off.
It didn't make any sense.
And everybody's happy, but they've lost. All these people have been killed.
Right.
The greatest minds are dead, and everyone's like, "I want a salami sandwich."
I'm guessing. Yeah, what was with the salami?
Right, then he's talking about making cold cuts.
Hey, this is some really good salami.
Yeah, this is messed up stuff.
Really, really big old salami. Yeah, I don't. It was a little confusing of an ending, just with the sheer amount of bodies piled up. But all right.
And the mask, by the way, has to be one of the worst parties that you can go to. I mean, I'm talking before the slaughter. Like, it just looks so terribly boring. It's just people just sort of dancing, and there's one guy in the corner eating fires, but everybody looks bored out of their mind.
And Sarah somehow knows how to do the dances. Which
she knows everything. Yeah.
Well, actually, it was. I'm being flipped. You could see Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah playing the character. Like, she didn't know how to do the dances and was watching along with everyone to kind of follow along with them and do that. It wasn't just, she knows how to do medieval dances. Yeah. It was cute.
And at the end, they do mention Da Vinci again. Sarah says that she saw him, right? The Doctor didn't, because he's like, I don't like his helicopter design or something like that.
Submarine.
You're right. You are correct. Gosh. But anyway, so it's one of those things. And again, we see this a lot, where these 4-part episodes, and I like that they're 4 parts.
Yes.
But the last act is always so rushed, and everything is wrapped up so quickly and so tight that sometimes
I wonder about that. It's as though they have to keep building through the first 3. Then they have to resolve it in just one episode and still leave time to move them on to the next, wrap it up and move on. Yeah, it feels like that last act and Coda need to be separated out.
They also set up something interesting, too, and that is the Mandragora is set to return
in 500
years, which she says is, the end of the
20th
century. I looked on Wikipedia, and I guess they have revisited this. in Doctor Who magazine or something. Like either there's a short story or a comic or something. Yeah. But I'm surprised that we didn't see this in
It's never
the
recurred
show.
in the actual show.
Yeah, like since it was sort of set up for that time. You
got to leave something for the fan fiction.
But I don't know what the actual year that this took place, other than that it was the 15th century. I don't know what.
Well, we could actually look it up. I was thinking about this.
I
he makes a
able
reference
to
makes a reference to Copernicus because he's looking at
the
astrolabe.
Right, because it's Italy too. Because it's Italy, they have to use astronomy. Like there's a Galileo reference, and then there's a Copernicus.
That's what he said. He had said if we had only waited another 50 years, I think he said another 50 years, we could have talked to Copernicus.
Okay,
I think it was Copernicus. Yeah, it must have been. Or was it Galileo? Shoot.
Yeah.
We went back and actually did our research.
But in any case, you should be able to pinpoint roughly the right year that this would have taken place.
Well, I mean, then it must have been the end of the 1400s because he says the end of the 19th century 500 years later.
Right.
So it must have been 1480, 90, something like that.
Science
deduction.
So anyway, anything else you have on this episode? I think we pretty much covered it pretty well.
I
really liked it.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of my favorites. I'm glad that we covered it. I don't hear a lot about it.
I don't think I've ever heard of this one.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's a lot. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I hadn't seen much of any of the old Who, so it's all new to me. Yeah,
it's good stuff. So, anything else you want to add to it? We should talk about our next episode then.
Next one we got is the Hand of Fear. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, and I talked about it briefly in the beginning. We're trying to stick with stuff that's on Hulu at least. Hand of Fear is not, and the reason why we're doing it is because this is Sarah Jane's last episode, and as I mentioned, she's my favorite. It sounds like you're also very fond of her, if not
definitely
putting her on your list. So we have to do that one. Again, we're going to try to always do ones that you all can stream in some way legally, but with this one, I think we need to do it. So it is available on DVD, and I believe it's available on iTunes and Amazon as well for purchase. So if you want to watch it, and I recommend that you do, that you do that now, and then we'll be reviewing it on January, actually next year. Look at that. It's going to be 2016 show, and it's our year anniversary. We've been doing this for a year. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. We're going to have a big party next episode, guys.
So please, if you want us to answer your emails or tweets or whatever, you can send them to us now, and we will do it for our big anniversary blowout. I wish we had a phone number people could call in. Right? We set up one of those 800 numbers and just wait.
We're going to set up a Google Voice number.
Wait in the sad quiet. All right, so that's...
where do people send us emails? We got
that's a good question.
The Old Doctor Who Show at gmail.com. You can check us out there. You can find that link from theolddoctorwhoshow.com. And you can tweet at me if you'd like. I'm at DanJNJ.
Yep, and if you're looking to find me, you can go to ericgrissom.com, and you'll find comics that I've written there. You'll find my Twitter account, which is egrissom, Facebook, Last.fm. We talked about that. I'm still scrobbling on Last.fm. Is there anyone else out there? Like, where is my music? I'm listening to music. It's just going into this bucket at CBS that
you're the last scrobbler.
But yeah, so you go to ericgrissom.com, and you can catch up with what I'm up to.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, friends, it was a good episode. And thank you again, Dan, for the Doctor Who Season 9. That was a Christmas miracle, is what it was.
It really was.
It was very cool.
You're very welcome.
So, yeah. So, again, let us know what you think of this episode. Subscribe on iTunes. Tell people. There's a lot of Doctor Who podcasts out there. But
there's not a lot of Doctor Who classic episodes.
No, I think...
one of the only.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure now... If you search classic Doctor Who in iTunes, we're at least in the top 5, top 80. But it does show up. Whereas, like, you search for us, and my point being, we need people to know that the show even exists. So please share links or tell people if you think that they might be into it.
Yeah,
cool.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
we'll
friends.
talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week.
Time.
All right, next time. Yeah, next week. No, I thought you said it wrong. I just doubled down on it.
All right, we're doing a show in a week.
All right. See ya.
when